So the answer to this question about different circumstances around your child and how that can affect your child custody case, it depends on a couple of different things. It depends on if you're in front of the judge for establishing a parenting plan, or if you're there to modify a parenting plan, or if you haven't gone to court yet. So if you're in court already and you're having issues either with developing the parenting plan or modifying the parenting plan, then testimony about these, people that a child is around or that they're frequenting, that testimony can come up, and it would depend heavily as to whether or not the judge weighed that based on the credibility of the person who's presenting that testimony or evidence. If you have people who are around the child that are criminals, it would depend heavily on what kind of crimes we're talking about. Are they crimes involving children? Are they things that are the court would look at and say, well, this is definitely a problem to be around a child? But if they're not, the court may not weigh that, and it depends kind of on the facts that are presented at trial or during the hearing. If you're looking at a specific act like fraud, some of the things that the court would consider is whether or not the person was convicted of this, if it's just an allegation, and is this the other parent? Is it just somebody who is around the parent? If it is the parent, kind of how does that impact this child and their conduct around the child? And, there's not a real clear-cut answer because it depends heavily on the credibility of the witnesses that are presented to the judge, as well as the judge's weighing of all of these different factors when they're looking at either a modification or a child custody order. There are just a lot of things in family law that are very difficult to kind of predict what would happen with a judge because they are so fact specific. It's not clear-cut answers. It's based on a whole bunch of different weighing of analysis of what the judge looks at, what they weigh as harmful to the child. Clearly if there are crimes involving children, that weighs differently than if someone is writing a bad check. So there's kind of a difference in kind of the weight of what's going on, but it is heavily dependent on your judge and kind of what they see throughout the entirety of the case. As always, my advice is to consult with a local attorney because they know those judges the best. So you want somebody who has practiced kind of around that area frequently or has contacts to kind of get a feel for how a judge would rule on a specific issue, like the child being around a dangerous person or the child being involved with a parent who has criminal charges. So you kind of want to get a feel based on what that attorney has experienced in those courts. I hope this helps a little bit in answering your question. Follow me for more information on family and child custody law in Tennessee.